Autistic rage can destroy relationships, but it doesn't mean that autistic people just suddenly become the Hulk. Do you even know what it is or what causes it? Let's explore autistic rage.
Validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones.
Welcome, my friend. So good to see you. I'm Orionkelly, that autistic guy. I'm all about providing validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones. What is autistic rage? Well, it's definitely not the autistic person in your life going from being seemingly peaceful and normal to turning into the Incredible Hulk, a big, angry, grumpy, violent, green monster. That's definitely not what it is. Autistic rage refers to intense and emotional outbursts by autistic people. And although you may have the perception that these outbursts manifest in nothing more than just pure Hulk-like anger, that's not true. In fact, autistic rage can be a little bit deceiving in its title because the outbursts can manifest in many more things than just plain anger. Of course, sure, there can be an emotional outburst of anger, but it could also be a heightened outburst of frustration, even distress. And the first thing you may think is, yes, but to me it just looks like big old angry Hulk. So frustration, distress, anger, and all these heightened, overwhelming emotional outbursts may look like one thing to you, but again, they're being experienced inside the mind and body of an autistic person very differently. But why is it so badly misinterpreted? Autistic people can struggle to identify, right, to actually understand what they're feeling and convey it. So I'm having a really big emotional outburst of distress or frustration. You think, oh my goodness, Orion's become the Hulk again. But that's just not true. And more importantly, what triggers them? Autistic rage is often triggered by the same things that trigger autistic people in many other ways. Things like sensory overwhelm. Having significant challenges with our social communication and interactions clearly can trigger autistic rage. And as I've touched on, a clear trigger is our difficulty in understanding, identifying, and conveying our emotions. Here's some practical examples to help you better understand what autistic rage is. The autistic person in your life is in a crowded, noisy environment. The sensory stimuli of the environment becomes too overwhelming, leading to an outburst. That outburst is autistic rage. So sudden outbursts of any kind are forms of autistic rage. A change in routine or an unexpected alteration to plans cause distress and frustration within the autistic person, leading to an emotional outburst. Another example of autistic rage: difficulty in understanding sarcasm, irony, or really any form of non-literal language, non-black and white, concrete, rigid type communication or interaction leads to a clear breakdown in that actual piece of interaction, causing an outburst sparked by frustration. But this next example may happen a lot between you and the autistic person in your life, and that is they misinterpret things like facial expressions, signs, signals, non-verbal cues, or we simply don't even pick up on your body language. A simple misunderstanding like that causes confusion and anger, leads to autistic rage, a heightened emotional outburst. We're engaging in our special interest, our passion, or simply engaging in something that is really, really important to us at this particular point in time. Throughout engaging in that activity, we are interrupted. We are repeatedly interrupted. The amount of interruptions is an issue. These interruptions cause frustration, and the repeated interruptions cause agitation, leading potentially to autistic rage. Autistic rage is simply a heightened emotional outburst. It's not becoming the Hulk, it's an emotional outburst. What are the triggers? These are the triggers. An autistic person's hypersensitivity or hyposensitivity, so an overexperience or an underexperience of sensory stimuli, can also lead to autistic rage. In other words, certain textures, certain sounds, smells, certain stimuli create frustration or agitation or anger and lead to autistic rage. But for parents, carers, teachers of autistic kids, how about transitions? Yeah, an autistic person transitioning from one thing to another is tricky at the best of times. Why? The simple answer from my point of view basically is because what we're transitioning from is what we want to do, and what we're transitioning to is what you want us to do. Why would you think it would go well? It's like, obviously. But this is the problem. This is a challenge. Transitioning from one thing to another, presumably what we want to do to what you want us to do, is going to lead to an emotional outburst. That's autistic rage. Yeah, an outburst, because we're experiencing emotions. I'm angry, you're making me stop this. I just started. I'm frustrated. Bang, there it goes, right? And that is autistic rage. It's just an emotional outburst. As an autistic person, I can be bloody horrible at conveying how I'm feeling. I really struggle to articulate emotions, feelings, levels of pain. Most of the time, how are you feeling? I don't know, numb. People pressing for how do you feel? What is your pain level? That's the other thing, 1 to 10. It's such a stupid thing to ask me. Or the emotions. I'm here at a doctor's or the hospital. Why are you giving me smiley face to, what is that, angry, sad? What's happening here? They make no sense. That leads to frustration and agitation. And these feelings that are like super volcanic inside us, but we can't put our finger on what they are, lead to an emotional outburst, lead to autistic rage. Autistic people are defensive. Why? Well, think about it. We are constantly perceiving anything that comes from any other person as judgmental, as negative. Why? Well, we're judged and told we're bad, we're not good from the start. So even as a partner or someone in a relationship, even if that is clearly not your intention, even an unintentional perception of judgment or negativity from you will automatically lead to the stirring up of emotions that manifests into autistic rage. You could just front load stuff, by the way, guys. This isn't rocket science. Hey, Orion, I'm going to quickly ask you something or say something, but I'll just be clear. This isn't negative. I'm not judging you. I haven't got a problem with you. Don't take it that way. It's not about that at all. I just wanted to share something with you, right? Like, you can front load stuff and fix this whole problem, but that'd be too simple. Autistic people don't want to control things because we're control freaks. We have high-end anxiety. People who are anxious want control. Why? Because if you can control things in your mind, you can manage anxiety. So, if the autistic person in your life feels like they have a complete lack of control, they've lost all control of their own life, they're clearly going to experience autistic rage. Anxious people with no control can experience strong emotional responses. Who would have thought? For autistic people, struggling with expectations, with meeting them, struggling with our sense of failure or being just a pure failure in life, manifests in a build-up of emotions, leading to heightened emotional outbursts, autistic rage. And adding to that, just feeling the constant pressure, like the constant societal pressure to meet those expectations of neurotypical people, to fit in, to be normal, to conform, to take our autistic brain, put it in the bin, live without a brain, but pretend to be normal. That leads to autistic rage, a build-up and a release of emotional energy. If you're going to take an autistic person from a familiar environment to an unfamiliar environment, or worse still, place them in an unpredictable environment, what do you think's going to happen? Yes, autistic rage. The sheer fear, anxiety and uncertainty of that whole situation would absolutely fill the autistic person in your life with intense heightened emotions that have to be let out. Bombarding the autistic person in your life with too much information or too many instructions, complex instructions, too many things on the list, leads to frustration and confusion, leads to anxiety, leads to autistic rage. But this example is a little bit tricky or interesting, and that is autistic people actually think that they can do things perfectly, that they can meet all expectations, that they can make expectations and they can reach them. I think that unless I've done it and met it and reached it and provided a perfect result, I've failed. And here's the kicker. There is no perfection in life. You see these people that think, I've just got to get it perfect. That's what we think. Turns out, doesn't exist. Not possible. It's subjective. So the idea of trying to reach unreachable expectations, goals, or perfection is one of the main triggers for autistic people in experiencing these heightened emotional outbursts. For autistic people, undertaking tasks, things that require planning, time management, executive functioning skills, will absolutely lead to autistic rage. Why? Well, the skills that are executive function are a set of cognitive skills. Autism is a the cognitive stuff, developmental disability. But listen up to this one, because this may be one of the most profound insights you're going to hear from an autistic person. Just my experience, I think that autistic people actually pre-experience upcoming events, play them out repeatedly. In effect, set expectations for future events, interactions. I do this all the time. If anything is coming up in my life, right? Seeing someone, talking to someone, having an event, having something I know is going to happen. This might sound strange. Maybe it's just me, and it's not all autistic people. But how I have it in my head, how I experience it prior, how I set the expectation of how it's going to go never happens. And it's never as good as that. And therefore, I've never had an experience that was remotely enjoyable because I've set these expectations based on experiencing these situations prior. And they're never that good. They never go that way. I get this is odd, but for me, this is profound for me. Autistic rage, experiencing that heightened emotional outburst after interactions and events is massive for me. It's regular for me because you become distressed when reality, the actual experience or event, doesn't align with how you expected it to go based on those expectations of how you saw it playing out in your mind prior. I can't even explain to you how this is such a day-to-day thing for me. But this next example is also actually a pretty good tip insight for parents, carers, partners of autistic people. And it's about choices. If you're going to present an autistic person with too many choices, it's going to lead to autistic rage. Too many choices creates a virtual impossibility in the decision-making process. We make this very clear. My wife even makes this very clear. Rather than, what would you like for dinner this week? I'm about to write a list. My wife will go, would you like spaghetti bolognese or lasagna this week? Would you like hamburgers or sausages this week? Would you like butter chicken or a Thai curry this week? Rather than, hey Orion, what would you like for dinner this week? I hate that question. Even now I feel like an emotional outburst. Please don't ask me that question. I don't even feel hungry now. What do you mean dinner next week? What are you talking about? Like you tell my son, what are you going to put on first, mate? Time to get ready for school. What do you mean what am I going to put on first? Suddenly it becomes a mathematical equation. It's time to get ready for school. Would you like any help or would you like to get dressed yourself? There's an answer there, help or myself. That's a clear, that happens. I can do it myself, no worries. Would you like to start now or can I remind you in 5 minutes, right? It starts to happen. Would you like to put on your shorts first or your shirt? It's a series of questions, but there's specific decision making and too many choices will trigger autistic rage. Matter of fact, it's triggered me now. Triggered me? That's not a word. The impact of autistic rage can be devastating. Autistic rage can at the very least strain relationships. Bottom line, if you have a neurotypical person and an autistic person in a relationship, this may be your exact situation. You may be a loved one of an autistic person. Navigating autistic rage can be, in your mind, impossible. Why? It's so unpredictable, Orion. It's like you're okay, and then out of nowhere, you're not. But to help you work through these, let's go through some practical examples of how autistic rage can impact relationships. Autistic rage, in other words, an autistic person experiencing overwhelming emotional outbursts, can lead to breakdowns in communication. The impact there is it makes it more challenging for both partners or both people in the relationship to express their thoughts and feelings freely and effectively. The sheer occurrence of potentially frequent outbursts by your autistic partner can absolutely create an emotional distance between the two of you in the relationship. And this doesn't have to be partners. This can be parents, friends, relatives, teachers, workmates. This goes across any relationship. It separates the friendship. It puts a gap, a wedge in between the friendship or the relationship. And the gap is clearly one or both of you, as a result of the frequency of these outbursts, withdrawing from each other. And for the most part, you withdraw to avoid confrontations. Even the mere fear of a potential, like a pending or upcoming future emotional outburst, just the thought or the fear of a potential situation of autistic rage can create a real tension, this atmosphere of tension in a relationship. That impact is widespread. Clearly, it creates a level of anxiety in that relationship, in that friendship. And that's no good for anyone. Another impact of autistic rage is the non-autistic partner may start to just plainly avoid all known triggers. Now that means good and bad. So I'm talking all situations, all activities that could potentially trigger or have triggered autistic rage in the past. Now in doing so, what happens? You're clearly going to limit, if not completely cut off, future shared experiences, but more importantly, future opportunities to better connect in your relationship. The pure strain of autistic rage, of either having or experiencing your autistic partner have these emotional outbursts, can quite easily lead to a diminishing of your emotional and physical intimacy. An autistic person experiencing autistic rage, which some could look at as our challenge in identifying, processing, conveying our emotions, could absolutely hinder any type of resolution in any matter that's currently happening in your relationship. So autistic rage can get in the way of talking through things, of finding resolutions. And if that happens enough, it's obviously going to cause ongoing issues in the relationship. Resolved issues equal peace. Unresolved issues equal distress. To be clear, autistic people experiencing autistic rage are absolutely going to have bad mental health outcomes. Now, we can't stop it. So heightened emotional outbursts due to triggers that we can't control are always going to happen. Autistic rage is part of being autistic. That's why I'm doing this video. I can't make a wand, wave it around and cure it. No. But I can tell you your partner isn't the Hulk. So they're actually experiencing some pretty, look at it like this. Would you want to go through the similar experiences on a daily basis? And what cost would that have on you? Okay, so it's going to take a physical, mental, and emotional cost on the autistic person. But I'd also like to acknowledge it's that experiencing your partner, your autistic person in your life, go through that, I feel can also have the same cost on you. So the impact is lose-lose. As an autistic guy who's a dad of 2 boys, one who's autistic, this can make me feel like a really crap dad. This can lead to real issues in parenting with my wife and I. Because autistic people don't pick and choose autistic rage. Again, remember, this is a heightened emotional response. That's what autistic rage is. It's not just turning green and becoming the Hulk. It's a heightened emotional response, outburst, due to some sort of trigger. And these are the same things that affect autistic people in every other way. So think about it. If you shut down, melt down, right, whatever, burnout, outburst, whatever you want to call it, the same, dysregulated, the same things cause autistic rage. You can't turn off the triggers when you have kids around or when you're being a parent. Another impact is pure judgment. The fear of judgment by others. So we're talking about the non-autistic person, be that your partner, or your family member, or whoever that person is in the relationship. They may start to perceive judgment in all situations. If we go out, people are going to judge my partner if they have any experience of autistic rage, so heightened emotional outbursts. So therefore, let's isolate ourselves. Let's not go out. Now that's an impact. It is in effect costing you connection and engagement with your family, your friends, the community. But this impact could be one of the most detrimental impacts for any autistic person and their quality of life, and that is on employment. Autistic rage clearly is going to make it very hard to maintain employment. The chances of an autistic person getting a job in the first place are astronomical. That's just statistically proven. But now, if you're in the workplace, you can't control the triggers of the world because you don't control the world. You're going to have autistic rage experiences. In other words, to make it more realistic, you're going to have heightened emotional outbursts in the workplace, in front of other people. What's going to happen? You're going to get fired, mate. No job, no money. Livelihood gone. Autistic rage can also impact, what would you call it? Subsidiary relationships? I don't know. I barely have friends, let alone friends of friends. But you see what I'm saying? So yeah, the impact is great on your partner, on people in relationships in your life. But what about, I don't know, people in your family that aren't your direct family, or friends of friends of friends, or friends of workmates, or friends of your partners, or the in-laws, or long lost family people, whatever you call these. I mean, seriously, you're asking a person with no friends to work out what the words are for the next level of friends. You see what I'm saying? Because they have less insight into you as a person. They have less so if you're not autistic and you know that your friends or your family or your workmates or these other people don't get the autistic person in your life as much as you do, without your help and intervention, the impact's going to be worse because there's no context. It says, whoa, Nelly, what is wrong with your partner? Another impact. Autistic rage for autistic people. This is a big one, I reckon. It actually can take away your autonomy. So your ability to feel like you are free to live and make choices you wish to make. Why? Because autistic rage, being a heightened emotional outburst, like burnout, meltdowns, shutdowns, dysregulates you, exhausts you. You need more support. If you're experiencing autistic rage, that's a sign telling your partner or yourself, hey, hello, you're autistic, mate. Putting the flag up. Something's got you. You're dysregulated. You need some support. You need to help yourself. Help yourself now. And then that happens again. The flag comes up. Hello. You don't listen to it again. Next thing you know, you're dead, mate. No, that's not true. Look at it like this. Let's say you're a pilot and you're flying a plane. Okay. And when you take off, a little bit after takeoff, the fuel light comes on, right? The light comes on. Boom. Fuel's getting low. You're like, cool. Keep flying. Bit later, fuel light comes on. Fuel. Really low. You better land. No way. I'm just going to keep going. I'm an autistic person. And I've got a non-autistic partner. And they need me to be non-autistic as well. So I'm going to keep on flying this plane. Light comes on again. No, enough. I can fly without fuel. I can glide. I have wings, man. Right. Cool. So what happens? You crash, mate. You die. The light came on so many times and told you, hey, Orion, you're low on fuel. Hey, Orion, you're dysregulated, mate. You better do what's best for you to help yourself be a good person or it's going to impact you and your relationship. No, I'm going to be fine. Plane crash, you die. Same situation. But taking that impact further, clearly the broader impact is a lessening in the quality of life for both people, autistic and not autistic. Again, proving the importance of seeing these signs and rather than judging them, working through them. How do we help you regulate yourself, bring yourself back, recover from this? Avoid this happening so often because you can't avoid it happening all the time. And then it's the win-win. The quality of life for both people in the relationship increases. Autistic rage absolutely impacts the self-worth, the self-esteem of an autistic person. Just the sheer idea of going through these constant emotional bombardments. It just leads to a deterioration of self. For parents, carers, teachers, friends, family of autistic kids, of autistic young adults, of autistic adults. Autistic rage may manifest in some sort of safety concern. That safety concern may be for the autistic person or for people around the autistic person. This is just a clear impact. I'm not here to lie or sugarcoat. It's just an impact. Autistic rage can absolutely ruin relationships, but how about friendships? You think it's hard for autistic people to find friends? Imagine finding friends, experiencing autistic rage, and then those friends no longer wanting to be around you. That is a massive impact. Absolutely for kids like my son at school. You're going to experience autistic rage at school. It's going to be around people that you like because you're around them. They're no longer going to like you. You're no longer going to have friends. And you think it's easy for autistic kids in the world. Autistic rage can absolutely destroy relationships. Separation, divorce. These are monumentally serious impacts. I don't have the answers, guys. I'm just trying to explain to you how viewing autistic rage as purely the autistic person willingly and knowingly becoming the Hulk is not going to help you cultivate a healthy relationship. For even more information on how autistic rage can manifest, check out my video, Autistic Meltdowns Explained, What Not to Do.